Would you rather let the love of your life die a gruesome death, but know you'll see the man in the afterlife? Or let the love of your life live, but for the rest of your lives watch him live with the woman you hate the most? This is the decision the princess in the story, the Lady and the Tiger, had to choose. The princess loved this very handsome and very brave man with all her heart, but soon the king found out about their love and was angry. And soon this decision had to be made. But first, let me explain a little bit about the king and his ruling. In the olden times, there lived a very semi-barbaric king. He was a man of high-spirited fancy, but his authority was so irresistible that, at his will, he turned his varied fancies into facts. Most of the time, when every member of his domestic and political systems moved smoothly in his appointed course, the king's nature was very bland and easygoing. But if there was even just a little problem, this man would become even more bland and easygoing in a bit more of a barbaric and evil way. If someone was accused of a crime, the king would put on, as I like to call it, a life or death reality TV show. With all the townspeople around to watch, the accused man would be brought out into an arena where he was faced with two options. Two identical doors. Doesn't seem so bad, right? Wrong! Behind one of the doors was a beautiful lady who, if the man opened that door, would get married to that man on the spot and spend the rest of their lives in happiness. A wonderful reward for an innocent man. But behind the other door was a hungry tiger, the most brutal and cruelest to be found, who immediately would pounce upon the man and tear him to pieces as a punishment for a guilty man. So if you enter that ring, you've got like a 50-50 chance of survival. Seems a bit harsh, don't you think? But hey, that's what the barbaric king likes, so that's what goes. Now the king had a beautiful daughter who he loved and cherished more than anything. This princess was much like her dad, for she was also semi-barbaric. Okay, so this princess had a lover who she loved very deeply, and this man also loved the princess. This little relationship was very happy for many months, until the king one day found out about it. Let's just say he wasn't too happy. This man was immediately thrown into prison, and a day was placed for his trial in the king's arena. You know, the place where the life or death reality show took place. The tiger cages were searched for the most savage and relentless beast, and a beautiful maiden was also chosen for the man as well. No matter what option happened, the man would no longer be able to go after or be with the princess. Long story short, maybe it's not an idea to go after the princess. Now the day of the trial arrived. But beforehand, the princess did some work of her own. She knew, with the use of gold and a women's will, which door held the tiger and which door held the maiden. She could determine the fate of this man just by pointing at one of the doors. Would she choose to let the man get married to the beautiful maiden, or get mauled to death by a tiger? I believe she let him open the tiger door, and here's why I think why. The princess knew the chosen maiden, and she hated her. She had seen this maiden throw glances of admiration towards her lover and talk to him as well. It was only for a moment or two, but who knows what they were talking about? The maiden was beautiful, but she had dared go after the princess's lover, and the princess wasn't having it. Remember, this princess had the same savage blood transmitted to her from all her past barbaric ancestors. She too was also quite barbaric. Here's another thing. When a girl gets jealous, their jealousy could cause the end of the world, okay? You don't want to mess with a teenage girl. We are complete psychopaths. See, if a girl was flirting to or destined to be with the love of my life, I'd probably kill her. But in this situation, the princess couldn't exactly kill the girl. But she could prevent the girl from getting the guy. If she was gonna lose him either way, why not prevent others from getting him as well? Sneaky, sneaky girl. See, the princess did think about how horrific the sight of the tiger would be. The love of her life getting torn to pieces in a bloody massacre while being devoured by a bloodthirsty beast? I mean, who wouldn't want to throw up at the sight of that? But when she thought of the man opening the door to the beautiful maiden and living happy ever after together, it filled her with so much rage she tore her hair out. Her soul burned in agony at the thought of the man rushing to meet the woman, the happy and joyous noises coming from the audience, the wild ringing of happy bells, the priest coming out with all his joyous followers, making them husband and wife right in front of her, then watching them walk away on a path of flowers, all while her one despairing shriek was lost and drowned in the crowd. I mean, who wouldn't be in severe pain by watching that happen to the love of their life? At least if he were to die, she could have him in the afterlife. Let us remember how severe the princess's jealousy was. The thought of the tiger? Horrific, but at least no one could get him then. The thought of the maiden? Severe rage that burned her from the inside out. Why wouldn't she let him die? If Tiger King's Carol Baskin can do it, why can't this barbaric princess? This girl was a savage. The fate of this man was entirely in her hands. If she couldn't have one, no one could. A girl's jealousy is incredible. And just remember her situation. She hated this maiden with a passion. Okay, so the princess had two options. One, she could let the love of her life get married to the woman she hated the most. It would spare his life, but then for the rest of the princess's life, she would have to watch in pain and sorrow of them living happily ever after together. Or two, she could let him get eaten by a tiger. He would die a gruesome death, but the maiden would never get him. She would never have to feel the jealousy of them being together. The king could no longer punish the man for liking the princess, and the princess could see him in the afterlife. Yes, it would probably temporarily scar her, but let's remember who the princess's ancestors were. Complete barbaric savages. Honestly, this princess has probably witnessed so much death, this one wouldn't hurt her mentally as much as any of the others. For these reasons, this is why I fully believe the princess led her lover to the tiger. What do you believe?